Hello, hello, and welcome to the Vinyl Vault. My name is Tony Wynn, and you'll notice that Parker looks a little different.
Yeah, weird. He's much more handsome
Oh
today.
no, oh no, no. Parker was not able to make it this week as he was feeling a little sick, and after his passing, we decided to replace him with Jesse Inman.
Sorry, his what? His passing?
Oh, did I say passing?
Oh,
I
well,
meant
no.
he's passing gas and is at home having huge stomach problems. So
Well, hey.
it is what it is. But instead, we're gonna talk a little bit about Van Halen. Now, for all of you Van Halen or Vinyl Vault fans, you know that we did 1984 last year, and I was a little surprised, and not to say that that album is bad or anything. It's a fantastic album, but if you're going to talk about Van Halen, you got to talk about Van Halen.
We got to go back to the beginning,
Yes.
the title album of
Exactly.
Van Halen. And by the way, let me just say this about Parker. I'm going to do my best to fill his shoes. I know this is the house that Parker built, so I'm going to try to respect it while I'm here renting it out for the time being, for the next half hour or however long we're in here talking Van Halen. And what's great is, Tony, you came to me today and you said, Jesse, would you be interested in doing Vinyl Vault? I said, yes, I would. It's one of my favorite pieces of content that's put out here at Ozarks First. And I was sick that I missed the Ace Frehley episode that you guys did after his passing, the Kiss episode. So Tony asked me what my favorite band is. I said, it's Van Halen. And he said, all right, we'll do Van Halen, the album, Van Halen.
And here we are. We're going to talk about them. So here's the album, and wow, what a debut album! Like
Yeah.
this is one of the few albums that you hear for the first time, and you're like, this is different. This is new. This is coming out in 1978.
Yep.
1978. I mean, this would obviously heavily influence what come in the 80s of just your power rock and
Yeah.
arena rock and just this type of music, and not to mention the guitar work.
Oh, man.
Indescribable of what
It is.
Eddie can do.
I like Eddie is the main event of. I mean, it's named after him. I mean, he and his brother, of course. But this album, and I really think all of the Roth era Van Halen stuff is like it showcases every member of the group so well. Like, and as I went through and listened to this kind of hastily getting ready, every song, there's a moment on this album for every person in the band. Obviously for Eddie, there are a ton of them. For Roth, I mean, his vocal range getting shown off and him as a showman and, not really like the best singer, but as far as like the guy to get eyeballs to the band and be like, oh, this guy's kind of crazy. Like, he does his part. And then the drumming, of course, you've got that. It's shown off not quite as much on this album as it is in future albums with like Hot for Teacher being on. That's not on this album, but and to me, the unsung hero of Van Halen is Michael Anthony, the bass player.
Okay.
He is, to me, the MVP of this group. Well, that's Eddie, but I mean, it's like the guy who is really the truly unsung hero of the band that gives them their sound. To me is Michael Anthony, and I can explain why as we get into it. So,
Sure.
yeah.
Well, like we said, this album came out in 1978. It was the first time featuring the superstars like Michael Anthony there, but of course there's David Lee Roth, there's Eddie Van Halen there, and I mean those two in particular. I mean, already iconic names now, but seeing them and seeing how different they were, hearing the guitar work that like you had no idea that a guitar could sound like that,
Yeah.
and then having a front man that was so charismatic, so just out there, like he is like the rock star. You know what I mean?
And it's like I have listened to so much lore about Van Halen. I have a book about Van Halen that them forming in Southern California and how they originally were going to be called Rat Salad was the like initial name, and then they changed it to how about just like Van Halen? It sounds cool. It's kind of ambiguous. You don't really know like what does that mean.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is like from the time that Roth took over, he was kind of like the like decision maker when it came to like decisions for albums and with record labels and stuff and the management. It was Roth's band is how it has always been described. But
he seemed to just have that natural awareness, or maybe he paid attention to like what works, what should rock really be like, and maybe he was a student of knowing people like the Beatles and like Elvis. Like, how do you be a front man? How do you market a band in a certain way? How do you push some buttons and what have you?
I think he did a great job of handling kind of the rock and fame side of it, so that Eddie and Alex could just be the amazing, musicians that they are. Just to kind of let them, not have to be influenced by all the crappy parts that come with being a rock star of having to deal with the red tape of all of that. And one of my favorite Van Halen stories is that whenever they were first starting, like playing in clubs and stuff, Eddie, I think he's like his technique that is most known is the tapping technique, and he was among the first to really revolutionize it and make it in the forefront of what rock and roll guitar shredding would become. Like, they would tell him to turn around and like have his back to the crowd when he was tapping in the early days, so that people couldn't rip it off and like, what is he doing?
Yeah,
so,
how is he doing that?
Yeah, like that was kind of a story that I remember hearing about back in the day.
What I thought was interesting was that like originally Eddie played the drums and Alex played the guitar.
That is crazy to even think.
Yeah,
like,
but
thank goodness they figured it out.
Yeah, eventually they swapped because they realized that wait, actually Alex is really good at rhythm, and Eddie was just better at melody.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? We would probably have just a mid rhythm guitar player and Lars Ulrich, pretty much would be like that's how they would have ended up. So no disrespect to Lars, I think Lars is a great drummer.
The band would have been called Ulrich.
Yeah, that's probably what they would have done.
Well, coincidentally enough, Alex and Eddie's band name in their backyard parties was Mammoth.
Oh,
which
okay.
would, obviously later become Eddie's son's band name.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so that's where that
cool.
comes from.
That's very cool. That and he's carried that on. I we can kind of get to the Wolfgang of it all maybe at the end to kind of see how their legacy still kind of gets carried on. But an 11-song album here, Tony. And one thing I noticed about all of the Roth era albums, which I believe there are 5 or 6 before they broke up, 1984 being the final one, which you all have covered, all of them have a runtime between 30 and 35 minutes. It's not until you get into the Hagar stuff that they start pushing closer to 50 for an album. So like you can sit down and listen to this 35-minute album and just, it goes by so fast. And you're having a lot of fun listening to it too.
It's a high energy song or album, which actually makes me think of the second to last song. Is it Little Dreamer?
Little Dreamer,
little slower.
Yeah,
and it's like it's a good song, but like maybe it doesn't fit.
Yeah,
because it's just so like high energy and it's going, and then suddenly you're like, okay, it's the blues. Cool.
Yeah.
Like, what happened?
I wrote that down here too about that song. Is that it's more of a slow, like kind of a strut type song, and then it goes like the last song, On Fire, is maybe like the most like fast paced song on the album.
Yeah,
that really lets Dave show off the vocal screech as well as any song on the album here. So
so this album, from what I understand, as I wasn't born at this time, but
Same.
Obviously the two hand tapping especially from Eruption was what really apparently guitar sales the day after this album came out skyrocketed because all these guitars were just like, I don't know what he's doing, but I got to get a guitar and I got to figure it out,
Dude, Eruption, I feel like it's got to be, if you had like a Mount Rushmore of guitar solos, I just feel like Eruption is like it's the guitar solo in a lot of ways. Like it is Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
Like if you want to introduce someone to what Van Halen is, like that's one of the first songs you put on.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know what I mean? Like it's and Alex too. I mean, the drums kick into that as well. It's just the Van Halen brothers just going off.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah.
I can, as a guitarist myself, I remember just hearing it for the first time and also just being like, one, the tone is so unique. And I'm like, I've never heard a guitar that like
Dude.
just talks like that, you know? And then of course, yeah, once it gets to the tapping, you're just like, how do you play that fast? How do you do it?
Yeah.
You know?
It's like it's arranged so beautifully as well. And it's almost weird to say that about like such a thrash metal type of riff or solo.
Well, it's actually just a warm-up exercise that they recorded. Again, the absurdity of how good Eddie is. It's like it was just a warm-up for him that, you know, he would do. Which would later, and I don't know if here locally in Springfield, if you guys heard the same thing, but in St. Louis, we would hear Eruption, and then it would lead to Pretty Woman. It wouldn't lead to You Really Got Me.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know why, because that's not how the album goes.
Right, because
And
Pretty Woman
Woman's
is
not even-
on
not
Diver Down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they would do that, and I don't know if that was something that happened just for us St. Louisans, or if it was something you guys did.
Because there's another like instrumental that leads into Pretty Woman on Diver Down. That's like you know, kind of a slow like with like it's kind of when they were messing with they brought the keyboard into it and everything.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a slow build up as well on that album. But yeah, and it's interesting about like because that's the second song on the album. You start with "Running with the Devil," which I hope I'm not going out of order here for what you're planning.
No.
But when you know, "Running with the Devil" starts, and it's just who else? Michael Anthony coming in.
Boom, boom, boom.
And then like I feel like he's taking the pick and going across the very bottom of the strings to make that like
The opposite.
oh, it's going to the top
Above.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right where the pegs are.
Ah, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, and like you get that like it almost sounds like chimes, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not. You know, it's and then you just get the heavy and when I think of that song, I know that on this show you guys will talk about how like it reminds me of a movie that it's in. You know the movie Ready to Rumble? It's the late 90s, maybe early 2000s movie about WCW, World Championship Wrestling. David Arquette. They're in the back of the van singing "Running with the Devil" with a bunch of nuns, which is like, I always think about that scene in that movie, which by all accounts is probably a terrible movie, but being a wrestling fan and a Van Halen fan, it hits me in two different spots there. So yeah, "Running with the Devil," man.
That song reminds me of my college years where we first started in the birth of podcasts. We started a podcast, and you know, we didn't think it was going to go anywhere, but it was also the birth of soundboards and being able to play with soundboards. And somebody created a David Lee Roth soundboard, and it was all the little ad libs that David Lee would do. And so whenever we would talk, you just hear,
Oh yeah, then that song maybe has like the most iconic like, you know, run of his, where oh God I'm running.
Yeah.
Like, it's just it's so good, man.
I've heard other people like sing and kind of do it that way, but it's just something about the way that Roth does it. It's just
Dude,
it works.
I don't know how he even does it like physically. It's some of the craziest vocal work. And again, he's not even like the best singer, but it's just like the way he uses his voice to like just make sounds is just crazy. So you go from "Running with the Devil" track 1 to "Eruption," is the, you know, banner solo of the era, and then it goes straight into a cover.
Yeah.
"You Really Got Me,"
By the Kinks.
the
original.
Kinks cover. Yeah. So, and I kind of thought that I think that's kind of cool that they have some covers to their name that are really good.
You know, to tell you the truth, I think it was strategically placed there to just help be like, hey, you might not know us. You certainly don't because you're hearing us for the first time, right?
Yeah.
And here's a cover of a song that you do know, but it's very much our sound.
Yeah.
So you get to hear Eddie, you get to hear everyone just do the Van Halen thing to it and
Yeah.
be like, whoa. Like,
Man, I mean, it's at this point, you know, as we sit here almost 50 years later, it's become more popular than the original in a lot of ways, I think. So, yeah. I mean, just a great 3-song start to the album there, and I think it was 8 Talk About Love after that.
ain't talking about love, yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that track 4? Which, like, dude, what just a gut buster opening riff. Just, I mean, actually, yeah, it is the 4th track here. I'm looking at it. So, man, such a hardcore song. Like, just for Van Halen standards, is just like, just a cool opening riff.
Honestly, I think that, you know, that riff might be because I when I think of Van Halen, I definitely think of all the like cover riffs. But I think in terms of an original riff, that you know, it might be like their best known.
It could be, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Then again, like Panama and everything, but
True.
Yeah,
Jump,
it's hard
that
to say.
doesn't count. That's keyboard or synth.
Yeah,
we're not counting
yeah.
Jump.
I think guitar riff wise, I mean, it's definitely in the running in terms of the most like iconic
Yeah.
for Van Halen.
Yeah, I think so. My favorite song doesn't even come until later in the album.
Really?
On this one, which is "Feel Your Love Tonight," is probably my favorite.
Yeah.
That's a little bit later in the album, but after you get "Ain't Talking About Love," you go to one that's a little lesser known, which is "I'm the One," and it's more of a, like you mentioned, bluesy type of stuff earlier for Little Dreamer. I think you get a little bit of that here, but you get like some descending scale as you go into the chorus for the guitar, and just the harmonies for Michael Anthony.
Does that song remind you of like what's to come for Hot for Teacher? Because like when I hear it, it just feels like, oh, there's elements of like, oh, they're going to reuse this a little bit, but you know, quicker and a little bit more high
can see
energy
that.
for Hot for Teacher.
I
That was
can-
just me when I heard it. I was just like, no, this like there's some Hot to Teacher to this.
Yeah.
You know?
It's interesting to notice that now, like, because obviously the Hot for Teacher wouldn't come out for a few more years, and like listening to it retroactively, yeah, there is some of that. And I think the thing I remember, like that I realize about that song the most is it. Speaking of like foreshadowing for Van Halen, the classic scat, the scatting of David Lee Roth, which has now become like his calling card, and I have feelings about his scatting. The bum ba boo dum shooby doo bop, like that part of that song is like, okay, yeah, because that's like all he does now is scat. And
Yeah.
I've seen them. I've not seen them live. I saw David Lee Roth open for Kiss a few years ago here in Springfield, and boy, it was tough. It was a
Yeah.
tough listen. David Lee's falling off. It happens. I can't even. It's not fair to say because we're all going to fall off at some point, me included. Some would argue I have, but
I feel like what he could have done if he maintained his voice because of the scatting and the ad lib. You know how like Lil Jon just contributes to songs by saying yeah and okay? Like,
Yeah.
why not have
Yeah.
a song featuring David Lee Roth coming in and just doing little yeah.
just little
Yeah.
things of that nature, and that would have been smart. But like when you go back and listen to some of the stuff, it's just not sustainable. Like there's no way he was going to be able to do that his whole life. So, and I think that maybe the thing that a lot of these '80s groups didn't really think about is like, well, I may not be able to do this forever, but well, I'll just like Axl Rose and
Yeah.
Vince Neil.
I mean, luckily
You know.
they all were able to have it recorded, so you have the suppose more dangerous or rough on your voice vocals that's recorded,
Yeah.
and maybe live you should ease off on it a bit, but they probably didn't know any better because they're too busy doing the rock and roll thing.
Yeah.
right?
Live fast, die young.
Yeah.
That was the motto back then.
And especially
so,
in the 80s. So
yeah.
yeah.
So hey, I mean that's kind of that's the price you pay. It's the cost of doing business as a rock star. So, yeah, man. And then, I mean, where you want to go next with this one?
Is it what's the next one? Is it Atomic Punk?
So
No.
we kind of skipped around a little bit, but
think we
well,
jumped around.
after I'm the One, it's Jamie's Crying.
Quack, quack.
Yeah. Jamie's Crying. And that is just, man, another one. Michael Anthony. Whoa, he just makes the harmony on the chorus so good. Like, just with and it's not really like a flashy guitar song either.
No.
Like there is there's a solo in there somewhere, but
It's a lot more straightforward. If anything, it's more just pop.
yeah.
And maybe it's just proof that, like, hey, if we want to go pop, we can go pop.
Mm-hmm.
But
The
we're
closest
rockers.
thing.
But here's our version of how we would do a pop song, basically.
Yeah. And like, this I wish I had lived through at least part of this era to where like this was the music that was in the forefront at the time. Like these days, I feel like if you really want to enjoy some good rock music, like you have to go out and find it. Like it's not gonna just find you these days. And back in these times, I was born in 1993, so don't hold it against me. But I just feel like this kind of music, when it came out, it was just everyone was talking about it. It was there, rushing to the record store trying to get this kind of stuff. And it made a much bigger impression. There's a lot of factors behind all of that. But yeah, like Jamie's Crying, man. I feel like that's one you still hear on the radio a lot.
Well, I mean, one could argue it's probably one of, if not like the catchiest songs on the album. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you hear the title, and you kind of sing the chorus, right?
Yeah, it's got that drum intro, the brum, bum, bum, bum.
Yeah.
Like it's
Almost like a Tone Loc
Yes.
wild thing, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wah, wah,
that
yeah.
might be where oh man, I'm just now making that connection.
Yeah.
That is such an accurate, comparison there.
Yeah.
I'm a big hand talker, so these cameras are so high tech that they have a mind of their own. So yeah, like that song, I get bits of the Tone Loc and then bits of Janie's Got a Gun for no other reason than Jamie sounds like Janie. So
Fair.
and I don't even know if it is Janie's Got a Gun or Jamie's Got a Gun. I don't the Aerosmith song. So, but after Jamie's Crying, you get Atomic Punk, another one of the lesser known songs from the album, but it's got like that. It's like he's taking the pick and he's scratching it on the strings at the beginning to make it like almost like in the beginning of Voodoo Child by Jimi Hendrix, like that. I told you there'd be a lot of musical pantomiming by me here, but like the sound when he takes it and scratches it on the string, you get like almost like a record scratching sort of sound in the beginning, and then there's like a breakdown later toward the middle of the song where you get that. But another fast guitar song.
Yeah, if anything, it almost feels early thrash. Like you can kind of see where music. If Atomic Punk was your favorite song at that time, you would probably love Metallica when they come out because you're like, oh, faster, yeah, something like that. Where you're just like, yeah, this is aggressive, and a little bit more in your face.
And you're a big Metallica fan.
Huge, yeah. That being said, the Atomic Punk, I think it's fine. There's definitely better songs out here, but it was certainly one of those where like, oh, I hear it and I was like, oh, this is cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it already hits me at a level. I'm like, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah.
For sure.
And well, I'm trying to think, and you probably know. I brought up you being a big Metallica fan because you may be able to answer this. When their first album was, year, because it was mid to late '80s. They were
So 83
Okay.
was
so not. I
80
mean, not long after Van
maybe
Halen.
80. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't too far off.
Yeah.
Because most of their core 4 albums were all in the 80s. So
Yeah.
it might have been 81, 80. Yeah.
In some
early on,
ways,
yeah.
in some ways, I'm sure they drew a little bit of, inspiration from some of the things that Van Halen did. I mean, they're so different in a lot of ways as well. But
They're in the same. I mean, California. The Metallica was a San Francisco band. So
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure the influences were around there, but yeah, I'm not sure who Van Halen listened to in terms of their influence. Maybe you know that.
I don't know. Man, if anyone out there on YouTube is watching this and saying, "Oh, come on, clearly it was like the Yardbirds or something like
Yeah,
that,"
right.
which could be correct actually. If it was, I might be getting their influence mixed up with the influence of Kiss because I'm also a big Kiss fan.
Who and I forgot to mention, Gene Simmons being heavily credited as a founder of or getting the band the recognition because
Yeah.
he helped produce their demo of this album.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I've listened to Paul Stanley's audiobook and Gene Simmons' audiobook, and I know that there was a moment where Gene met with Eddie, and Eddie wanted to join Kiss, and what a strange, alternate universe that would be, where Eddie's probably just painted up with like the Frankenstrat red and white black stripes. I don't even know,
Yeah.
That's a crazy thing, a crazy what if to think about. But yeah, just the musical influence from iconic groups one to another is something.
Yeah.
It's,
I said found, and I didn't mean found. I meant discover.
discovered.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think he had discovered them in probably like a Whiskey A Go Go type
Yeah.
situation.
I think it
on the
was
strip.
Whiskey a Go Go, and they decided to do a demo. However, whenever they recorded it, they didn't use their gear. They used, studio gear or whatever.
Okay.
So Van Halen's sound, or Eddie's sound, very in particular, is very, very in particular.
Dude.
And he has to have his guitar,
Yes.
his amps, and everything. And so, yeah, hearing the demos, a lot of record labels were like, nah, not for us. you know?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until later where someone saw them live and was like, I got to record this,
Dude, I mean the Eddie Van Halen guitar, the Frankenstrat, as it's affectionately known. It's like a science project. It's crazy, all of the different like pickups but he would describe it as something very simple.
Extremely.
It's not as complicated as people make it out to be.
I actually have a list of they call it the Brown sound.
Oh wow.
It is a Marshall amp, a Variac voltage control, and just cranked volume. That's it.
Wow.
3 things.
See, there you go. I mean, people would think that because the guitar is just the most unique, and the design is an original, thing. And man, it's crazy. Less is more in a lot of ways.
Yeah, he just figured out, whereas a lot of guitarists, if you didn't know, for that sound, the distortion sound, there's pedals, they use microchips that mess with the sound waves and make it instead of a wave, it makes a straight line, and that's where you get the sound.
Wow.
Eddie was just like, well, the problem with that is that you don't hear all the notes, the colors of a guitar when you kind of do that. But if you crank up the volume to max, you will get, the buzz from your amps and still be able to hear, all the flavors and the sounds of guitar.
Very, very cool. I
Yeah.
mean, just the science behind his sound is really awesome. So the next song on the album, "Feel Your Love Tonight," I said earlier, that's my favorite one.
Yeah.
And again, it's not the most flashy song. It's again a pretty
Not complicated.
straightforward.
Yeah, extremely straightforward. Yeah.
But it's like and it's not like a face melter of a hard rock. Like it's an upbeat melodic type song. And again, dude, it just shows David Lee Roth is great in it. Roth has some great lyrics to this one, and the melodies again, like they finish it with an a cappella melody of the chorus.
Yeah.
Like, I can't wait to feel your love tonight. And then it just like finishes with that. And like you can hear all their voices like, I don't know. It fits perfectly together. Just the Michael Anthony effect, man. He could thump the bass, but the way he could get the voice, something about these bass players, like guy from the Eagles, the same way. The guy who did the Take It to the Limit. Was he a bass player? I think he was the bass player. Randy something, who just, I believe, recently passed away. But, I mean, something about these bass players, man. They know how to find their role and fit in there with the vocal.
Randy Meisner?
Randy Meisner, I believe, is he's another one. I mean, just like, the bass work is what it is, and then he just comes in with the cherry on top with the vocals. So, Gene Simmons, another bass player with big vocals, and Geddy Lee, obviously.
Paul McCartney.
Paul McCartney, my gosh.
Yeah.
These bass players, man. You bass players out there, you couldn't do it without you. Songs would be weird without a bass player.
If you're an actual bass player, usually you know what you're doing musically. But the thing is, there's a lot of people who are guitarists who are forced to play the bass because there's so many guitars.
Yeah.
And if they want to be in a band, like, well, if you want to be in the band, you're going to have to play the bass.
Yeah.
But those who choose the bass life typically know music theory and are, at least in my opinion, is and maybe it's because I'm a bassist.
Well, hey.
But
I wasn't pandering, all right? I didn't realize that.
I didn't start out a bassist. I'm a total... It's a scam. I'm just trying to fit in somewhere.
Yeah. Hey, we're just trying to make the team, dude. I'll do whatever the coach asks of me. And then after "Feel Your Love Tonight," "Little Dreamer," we talked about that one being kind of the slower. And you know what? We said that was the second to last song on there. It's actually there's two more after "Little Dreamer."
I'm straight tripping.
You get "Ice Cream Man."
Ice Cream Man
as well, which. For me, that song is Dave's moment of, his, like, if you put him on a bar stool in the middle of the stage with a spotlight and a microphone and a guitar, that is Dave's moment. And I think that actually was the case when they would perform live. Like, this would be his moment to go out there and, like, kind of just talk to the crowd and kind of do like have a little intimate moment with the crowd. And you may be able to find like a picture of his performance over there. I don't know. Of course, us being cleared to use it is another issue, but like it's just a simple blues lick, the doon 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 doon, and that's Dave playing the acoustic part and singing the Ice Cream Man, and then you get about a minute or two, or maybe a minute of the Dave of it all, and then Eddie comes in and just starts melting face. He's melting the ice cream with his shredding. Yeah. And it goes from just like a cool little blues lick to a awesome like hard blues rock song.
Yeah, I think it showcases the versatility of the band, capable of playing. This is a cover by John Brim.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
wow.
They again just putting their Van Halen stamp on songs. That
so
exist.
Smart.
Yeah,
man, that's just such a smart thing to do for a band who's just starting out too. It's like, think, I know this song, but wait, this is interesting. A different way to do it. Of course, the original, there's no chance it sounds like this at all because Eddie So,
right.
but yeah, and man, that might be my second favorite song on this album.
Okay.
Just because of that versatility on the album. So, yeah, and then of course On Fire to finish it off, just a fast, just a shredding thing that shows off some, you get a little bit of bluesy Dave, and then at the end of the album you get the big range and the screeching of the voice and the, just fiery guitar picking of Eddie. So
Yeah, it's a perfect ender if you're a little worried that you're not going to get the high energy. Well, they're gonna set you floating and be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, here we go.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, send you off on a high note.
you're on fire. I mean, I suppose maybe that's a little bit of why.
Some messaging there. So yeah, man, and that's how it ends. Is an 11 song, 35-minute, just it's an adventure.
It's
man.
a killer album for sure.
Yeah, it goes by quick, and before you know it, it's over with. And that one was in '78. I don't think it was long before they released their second album. After that, it was a year later. So, 13 months after. So, yeah, man. Van Halen 1 set the stage for these guys, and I don't want to say this just because we're talking about it, but it's maybe one of the more iconic debut albums for a band.
Oh, yeah,
'Cause,
for
I
sure.
mean, it just put them on the map immediately.
Yeah.
And it's also just crazy to think, man, it was 6 years really with Roth.
Yeah.
It wasn't that doesn't seem like a ton of time. At least not for the people out here listening to it. The guys who were in the band, I'm sure that felt like 30 years to them. But yeah, Van Halen 1, great album.
Yeah. The album peaked at number 19 at the Billboard 200. Would eventually sell over 10 million in the U.S.
Wow.
And obviously, laid down the foundation for just what 80s rock would be.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, ahead of the curve, kind of created the sound that we would hear. As and I don't think, like, when you hear people say hair bands, I don't really think of. I don't know, like, they're not really a hair band,
no.
like.
No, it's hair bands are more so classified with glam and glam rock. So whenever your Motley Crues and where they're kind of like dressing a little bit more feminine and a little bit like way more flamboyant.
Yeah.
I mean, as flamboyant, I suppose that David Lee Roth might appear, it's just showmanship, there. Whereas the other bands, were trying to find that fine line between, are we as in your face in terms of the theatrics as Kiss, like how do we tone that down and where do we find that middle ground? And that's maybe where glam rock goes. And yeah, I mean, it's just, but I certainly would not consider them. I mean, to me, they're up there in terms of just rock. Just like quintessential rock,
Not quite as androgynous as the hair bands of the era, such as, the Twisted Sister and Rat, one of my favorites. Some great riffs by those guys. Yeah. So, yeah, Tony. Hey, love me some Van Halen. I'm glad I got to come out here and talk about my favorite band that was really their heyday was over with before I was born. So,
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll find another more modern band. Maybe Wolfgang. I mean, I don't know how much Mammoth Wolfgang have you taken in?
Man, I have not taken in any other than the song that he wrote, like, in tribute to Eddie, that he shows at have you seen him in concert? Didn't he open for for Metallica?
He did, and it was in St. Louis, and I missed it because I was stuck in traffic.
I hate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that people here understand, being stuck in traffic trying to get to a concert. Same for me.
Yeah. I know that song has, and that's what I was going to say earlier about Wolfgang, Mammoth WVH, the group, is like he doesn't like playing Van Halen stuff because I think he just wants to let it like stand alone, be
Yeah.
its own thing. Which is honestly, like at first, when I first heard that, I was like, dude, come on, like that's what I want to hear. But then it's also like, you know what, that's pretty cool to where he wants to just like leave its legacy alone and not just do the equivalent of like trotting it out there until it's just beaten to death. You know?
Yeah,
like
and I think also just doing so would just always keep him in the shadow of
Yeah.
his dad. So, I mean,
true.
let the guy pave his own road, his own lane,
Mhm.
and you know, and he can keep the last name because
Well,
you know,
earned it.
always have it. Yeah,
He didn't go Bertinelli. You notice. He didn't stick with that one. He kept the Van Halen. So yeah, I think he's doing some cool stuff, and like he's one of those modern rock groups or artists that you can that you know that's kind of in the forefront. You know of I don't know. He's one of the more popular modern artists in the rock world these days. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. But yeah, hey, good stuff.
Yeah. Well, Jesse, thank you so much for helping me out in my
Love it,
little
dude.
issue that I had here, and hopefully we'll have Parker back.
Yeah.
You don't know
need
this unless you watched that previous episode, but we were supposed to talk about Depeche Mode and
Some little alternative rock.
a little synth pop, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to do that, as I've listened to the album several times and was ready to talk about it. And the day of, well, literally an hour before, I was like, hey, we're not doing it. Yeah, come on.
That's a pretty hard pivot from Depeche Mode to Van Halen 1. So
Yeah.
well, you
Well,
do well. You did
well.
with it.
Thank you for sharing all of your wisdom about Van Halen. It certainly helped
Man.
move this thing along.
Anytime, man. Man, Parker, get well. I hope I made you proud.
Hope you feel better, buddy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for Jesse Inman, I'm Tony Wynn, and this has been The Vinyl Vault.